In Finland, we have this thing called käsisuihku, aka pussy telephone. This is why we are so.
She says pussy telephone.
I mean, this one of the top comments says, "Did she say that's called a pussy telephone?" All right, you read?
I'm red.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the virtual Airstream studios. It's time once again for Puttin on airs. You know what it's about. Fancy shit. You know who it's from. Idiots. Me and the show.
I was not expecting this to be like you to start this like a pilot, but it really hit for me.
But yeah, and one of the two idiots is still in dire straits over there. I see you still. Are you just going to stand up forever now, or like you still down in your back? Or is it both?
I am still down in my back. It's definitely better. I will say that. Kim Casado especially can quit worrying about me because, bro, she's been blowing my ass up.
She is a medical professional.
No, I know. She's been blowing my ass up. As a matter of fact, we got a airmail from her that I should have just shared it to you in private, but I'm going to let her blast our ass. I think we deserve it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, love getting our ass blasted. That's part of it. But anyways, yeah, I'm definitely feeling a lot better. It's just that, like, it's not so much the sitting down, it is the getting back up part. But yeah, man, I don't know, dude. I kind of feel free up here. Like I feel like a morning radio guy. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they stand up, keep the energy going. I'm not against it.
Yeah, it don't not hit. You also, that's not the only thing going on with you this week, though. People in other parts of this universe are already aware what you've done to your face. But for airheads only, this is a new look. New look, a new you. Yes, the beard is blonde. You got that bleach, blonde, bad built butch body beard going. Do you get that? Do you get that reference?
Wait, hold on. Yes, that's what girl said to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes.
Yeah, which super hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So, and it's really funny because, and I didn't even consider this, but like I had like the day before I did this, I had posted a 10-minute like treatise on mental health and the stigma around mental health or whatever. And like I wasn't having a breakdown, but something had happened in the news and it sort of got me thinking. And so I started talking about it. And then the very next day I look like this, and this is like the shaving your head equivalent for a man. You know what I'm saying? Like when Britney had a snap, she shaved her head. It looks like I'm really going through some shit.
Absolutely. And by some shit, you mean a divorce. It looks like you're going through a divorce and or a midlife crisis. And then oftentimes, you know, it's both. But in your case, it's neither. You just want to look like Hulk Hogan or something.
Yeah, I think we've given me the nickname Slim Jim Shady, Fred Worst. I can't remember the other ones. But no, the simple fact of it is that we were at a Memorial Day party and all the girls were getting their hair lightened up. And
Hulk Hogan. You always be talking about being sad and mental health and stuff. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. And all the girls were getting their hairs lightened up, and the girl was like, "You want me to dye your hair blonde?" And of course, all the nieces and nephews were like, "Do it!" And it's like I didn't take any convincing at all. I was like, "Hell yeah!" You know, light it up, made them laugh, and I got a whole new look. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a couple of quick things I wanted to show you. I think maybe you said you had a couple quick things too. I don't know, but let me do mine first. This is, we all know, you know, this hits for me. That's all I know. That's all I know how to say. I don't know how to cue it up any better. It's like, it's very POAE in my opinion.
Okay.
Now, you really need to be watching it, but what can I say? It's short. Can you see that? You should be able to hear it when it's going. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good morning.
I'll say that again.
Good morning.
Look how much she don't hit for him. I'm just going to let this run on a loop here for a second. It's a dog in a tuxedo in a parking lot. And I feel like he looks so utterly disgusted that this peasant of a woman would dare speak to him. would deign to ruin his morning. And that's the face that he has, in my opinion. It really cracked me up. And a lot of the comments seem to agree. Like the top comment just says, ruined his day.
Dude,
Killed his whole vibe.
He does. He immediately because he's like doing that thing that dogs do when they're either happy or thirsty, where they're just kind of like, and he just shuts his mouth and is like, bitch, go on.
I don't speak to the lower classes. Was good till you showed up. Yeah, he was looking at her like, yeah, keep walking. And he really is. It's like, I don't know. This dog's face hit for me. But
shout out to the owner for leaving the window down for the dog too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, simple fix. It's wild how often people can't figure that out. Dude, oh my God.
That's a dog I'd want to steal, though.
I have not thought of this in 20-something years until you just said that. You've just triggered a childhood memory for me, and it is very Raven and probably not going to hit for people.
Okay, disclaimer.
Yeah,
because I know
kind of
where this
related to what he just said. I remember now being left in the car. I was a child left in the car at the grocery store with my younger sister also left in the car, and our older cousin. I was probably
Raiders fan cousin.
Yes. Yeah. BJ, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yes, the reason I'm a Raiders fan. I was probably 5 or 6, so he was like 10 or 11, and Paige was like a toddler, like 3, and we all been left in the car at the grocery store. But all the windows was down. We was fine. I mean, I got a whole bit about that, about how kids just. I didn't know you was allowed to go in places as a child. I thought it was against the law.
Right.
But anyway, and in the car across from us, with the windows up, was this little dog that was like pawing at the windows and like
suffocating.
And BJ starts doing a little bit for our entertainment where he's pretending to be the dog, but it's got like a speech impediment. So it's going like, I'm tupitating, please. I'm tupitating. And we're like dying laughing. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like in retrospect, like, again, I hadn't thought of that in 20 something years. And it popped in my head. And I was like, oh, that dog was in actual distress.
Oh, yeah. You should have saved it.
And we were just like sitting across from it, like pointing and laughing at it, cracking up. I mean, we didn't know no better. Also, I'm sure the dog survived and was fine.
It's dead now, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's long dead now, so really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's, it was in Salina. They couldn't have been there more than 5 or 10 minutes, but I hadn't thought about that in years. But yeah, he did this little act out where he pretended to be the dog. And for the first time in my life, just now, it occurred to me that like, oh, that dog was not happy. Like that dog was genuinely distressed. And we were just like crying, laughing, looking at its situation.
What's hilarious about it is that like you and Paige were too young to really understand the situation. He clearly knew what was going on and was like, I mean, I ain't going to save it. I'm going to put on a puppet show.
No, bro. He was, again, Raiders fan, burgeoning pillhead drug addict, like, and felon. I loved him dearly. But I'm just saying, and trash did not used to concern themselves with things such as a dog, and that was that dog's business. That was between that dog and its owner. You know what I mean? That wasn't nobody else's business but theirs. That's just how things used to work. People, society has improved now. Now people will break a window open to save a dog, but back then you're like, well, what are you gonna do? Ain't my dog, not my problem.
That ain't my dog in that car.
So here's the other thing. I mostly am sharing this because the subject matter here is definitely fancy, but like this voice, I just really love this voice. This is a Finnish lady.
She trash?
I don't know how to tell, dog. She a cartoon to my American ears.
I kind of think I got like whatever gaydar is, but for trash.
Yeah.
I think I got it, and I think she might be. And by the way, I mean that in a good way.
So here we go. The subject matter is also funny. And again, it's on brand for the show. So here it goes.
In Finland, we have this thing called käsisuihku, aka pussy telephone.
Okay. Did she just say, what did she just say?
I think she said, in Finland, we have intelligible. In Finland, we have this thing called a pussy deliver.
I hear aka pussy telephone. I heard
pussy telephone.
It is kind of telephone shaped, but it's like, anyway, she continues.
Play it again. Play it
This
again.
is why we are so happy, because we have so clean assholes. Why doesn't every country have this? You know, the famous Riku Rantala from Mad Ventures said one time, if you fall face first in shit, do you wipe it with paper or do you actually use water as well? I, for instance, like to use water. So that's why I'm so happy. So please, rest of the world, start using these. They're very handy when you have the squirts.
So it's a bidet,
Like that.
obviously.
Yes, it's a bidet.
Please play it.
I'm going to play the first part again just so we can try to settle that question.
In Finland we have this thing called käsisuihku, aka pussy telephone. This is why we are so...
She says pussy telephone.
I mean, this one of the top comments says, "Did she say that's called a pussy telephone?" Because I mean, it's like it definitely
It's a
sounds
butthole
like
telephone is what
it's
it
a
is.
butthole telephone. It definitely, I mean, it looks just like a telephone.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're
I mean,
a
holler
woman,
at
that's
that
part
butthole.
of the business down there. So maybe that is what they call it. But yeah, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's a bidet. But here, this guy asked a question that I have often wondered about. Not being, I've still never ventured into the world of bidets.
You've never used one, period?
No.
Oh,
never.
boy.
So this guy asked, he says, what I don't understand about bidets is this, you know, there's no soap or sponge or anything. No one can successfully faucet spray peanut butter out of shag carpeting without using soap and sponge. So why would just spraying water on your hairy arsehole be any cleaner? But it's like a concentrated jet, right? Like, you know, they always say that, like, if you got poop on your hand or poop on your forehead, you wouldn't just wipe it off with a piece of paper. You'd be like, oh, gross.
Right.
But
You would also use soap.
I would also use soap. And
Right.
bidets there's no soap involved, right? I mean,
No.
it's just a jet of water directed right at your butthole, and it just blows it out. Like,
Now I might be doing it wrong, dude, but like the only time I've ever used bidets have been when I've been at places that had them because I don't have one, which is stupid. Now I refuse, by the way, to get one until we're sponsored by a bidet company and I get one for free because that's just what being in this industry will turn you into. But like, I guess, or other people, I wipe first and then let the bidet do the rest. You know what I mean? Like I get
could
that
be
in
wrong, dude, but I feel like that
some people ain't wiping at all.
No. I think they do it the other way. I think I've always gotten the impression.
I do 3: wipe, bidet, wipe, because you have to have the third wipe
to dry it off.
Well, no, only just to dry it off. You're, in my opinion, you don't leave the bathroom until you wipe your butt and see nothing on the other side.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying. So if
but okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never used them. I've always thought that the first thing was blast the poop and then wipe later. Because I thought that people were wanting to not deal with as much poop with their hands by using a spray of water where you're still doing that part.
Yeah, but just like one little tiny wipe, because I'm like, I don't want it to have too much shit to blast through. Like I want it to be, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's splattered everywhere or whatever. And I just thought like you get what? Well, dude, it's just like if you was doing anything. Like if I had a stain on my, if I spilled something on my, on my counter, I would give it one wipe with a paper towel first to get the excess off. And then I would spray it with the shit and wipe it off. You know what I mean? So I was like, let's get the bulk out of the way. That way this thing can really hone in on what's left. Like this to me is like, this is your end game. This is your third wave coming in to be like on your asshole, you know? But again, I don't own one. So like, I don't know the actual proper etiquette.
Yeah. I mean, I don't either. I don't know, but I mean, they're definitely becoming, where was I just at? Somebody was staying in an Airbnb or something. And where the hell? I don't remember. I went in the toilet and they had a bidet in there.
And you didn't use it?
I was only there briefly and I wasn't it wasn't a pooping type of situation. I didn't poop while I was there.
Right. But I'm just saying you could have like just
sat down and just blasted myself.
Yeah. Because there's never my buddy Robbie said that if he ever writes a memoir, the title of it's going to be, "There's never a bad time to wipe your ass."
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Because
but
pretty much you could always do it, and it there'd be something there.
I mean, as a man, yes. But is there a? It's also it's cold, right?
Yeah, the ones that I've used. Well,
I think in like Japan, they've got it to where they got like warm, bubbly.
Conrad's
You
has
can
a
get like
warmer.
warm Perrier up your
Yeah, yeah,
butthole
yeah.
in Japan or whatever. But I think that like Tushy and all them, it's just like standard tap water, isn't it? Like
Yeah, I
cold,
think so.
cold water. What feels to me like a cold jet
that
of water
hits.
right on your balloon knot. I don't know. I feel like I'd be like, ugh, like
I
don't
can
know.
tell you that.
I think I'd tense up.
I can promise you that the first time you would tense up.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that, like, almost even in the middle of that tense up comes the acceptance and the appreciation. Like, of course, like you're not used to having something it penetrates. You know what I mean? like if you leave it on there long enough, you can fart out water. I've done it. But like it hits for me real hard. And yeah, again, it's only out of hubris that I don't buy one. I'm like, no, we hit one of them will sponsor us, and I'll get sent a bidet. But they're they're good.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Here's the small thing, and this
butt stuff. Is it?
Huh? Is this butt stuff? No, it's not butt stuff.
Oh, I'm saying, like, are you still? Is there like a little hold off of like, oh, what if I like it? I got it. Then I got questions.
Oh no, I just I also would like to be given one for free.
Yeah, right.
Even if I went out and got one, I'm not a man, so I couldn't like hook it up. I don't think.
Oh yeah, you could actually. They're really easy to hook up. I've seen it.
Well, I just I don't know. It's doing a thing. I don't know.
Right. Doing a thing don't hit.
Also, yeah, I guess my just American. It's not because of just it's my butt. It's just I just haven't been entirely convinced
sold
by it. Yeah, I ain't been entirely sold, even though I know the Yelp reviews are universally positive. I don't know what else it's going to take for me. But the last thing I want to talk about, and there's multiple facets to this story. You may have heard about this before because I feel like it pops up on the internet every now and then. In the 1800s, there was a Scottish surgeon named Robert Liston.
You got to say it.
Who became infamous for a surgery that resulted in a 300% mortality rate. Shit! What the fuck did that happen? You might wonder. It's because he.
Hold on. Does this mean that a motherfucker several times a motherfucker died, they revived them, and then they died again? Because how else could you get a 300%?
Here's what happened. Reportedly, okay, and that's what I say. I want you to like chime in with whatever you think at various points of this story. Reportedly, the story goes he had to do an amputation, right? And back then amputations was like there wasn't no anesthesia. Yeah, hold him down in a tent, bite this piece of wood while
get him some whiskey,
fucking leg up. Yeah, pour some whiskey down him and stop praying. That's all he did. Right. And so that's what he was doing, and time was of the essence.
Right.
You had to be fast. You had to be swift. So he chopped the leg off in under 2.5 minutes, operating so swiftly that he inadvertently amputated his assistant's fingers in the process and slashed
motherfucker being like,
and slashed a nearby observer, like a medical student or something, slashed the back of their coattails, right? The story goes.
Oh my God.
The story goes. So yes, I can have a 300% mortality rate. He was operating on one person and 3 people died.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The story goes that the person who's like coattails he slashed, the story goes that person died of sheer terror. Now,
yeah, okay.
This was the 1800s. They act like people used to do that back then.
People used to fall out.
They fell out all the time, especially women. Women stayed being hysterical and stayed falling out.
Catching the vapors.
But
we explained that with women.
Fingered them right.
Yeah, you fingered, but we explained we that with women, why it happened to women, though. Like, specifically, But in this situation, she would be a lab assistant, so it wouldn't be for the reason that women fell
It also
out.
wouldn't be a woman. I really don't think.
Yeah, right. Because women, the reason that they stayed falling out is because their dresses was too tight and they weren't breathing.
Yeah. Yes. That right. The falling out is a separate thing than hysteria. They also because women also were known to be hysterical all the time, which is just like I saw a funny tweet about it once. It's like, a blacksmith's wife who has 8 children in a 1-bedroom home by the age of 26, 4 of whom have died or whatever. It's like she can't stop crying, and the whole town is like, well, obviously she's insane.
Yeah,
right. And so but
dude, you mentioned,
and then doctors back then were like, I better finger bang her real quick. That'll bring her around,
dude. But you mentioned this,
nightmare. But
you brought this up kind of earlier, but I want to make the point of, honestly, this does show you how far we've come in our country. But like just 50 to 60 years ago, if anybody heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say any of the shit that she's saying, she would have been lobotomized. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just in the fucking Roosevelt administration, if a woman had been talking that much shit, they would have been like, take her to the fucking loony bin.
Yeah, absolutely. They had some stuff right. But so the Spectator, the Observer died from terror, like you did in the 1800s. And the other two, back then, like, things almost never worked, back then.
Everything was a test.
Yeah, right. So like him chopping that dude's leg off, that just didn't take. Now he just had to die without a leg that he previously
so much
had.
more blood.
Yeah, right. And then the other guy, the assistant who had his fingers cut off on accident, that of course got infected because they didn't know what germs be.
Right.
He was probably using like his favorite leg machete that
he
hadn't been washed and fucking,
we keep that in the bucket of piss over here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Just to get most of the gore off. And then, but having said all that, so he's mostly famous for that, and you can understand why.
Mostly just for that. There's others.
I did want to say, I found it's kind of a shame because this doctor, Dr. Robert Liston, was actually, outside of this admittedly noteworthy incident, he was one of the most effective and celebrated surgeons of his era. Some people say that he did more for the practice of surgery than anyone in the preceding, 100 and 200 years before him. He was head to toe legit and had a 90% survival rate, which was insane for the time. And he didn't know what germs was. None of them knew what germs was, but he did still know enough to like clean his blades and shit. So we was hitting a minute ago, but he actually would like wash his tools, wash his hands.
And what year was this?
And people back then didn't do that. The mid 1800s.
Oh yeah, he's way ahead of the game on that.
The incident in question happened in 1847. So not only that, so that's kind of a bummer. But some people also think, and I'll point back to the little tidbit about the feller just dying of scared. Some people think and claim that this is actually bullshit and that it never even actually happened because
smear campaign.
Yes, like by his medical rivals, people, his haters. He had haters because he hit harder. He hit harder than them, and they didn't appreciate it. And this was like propaganda, smear campaign thing, and it never even really happened. And then now today, he is mostly known for that. However, and I'm sure this is of little, of little solace to him. I mean, not that anything could be of solace of him. He's been dead for 200 years or whatever. But his other assistant, the one he didn't accidentally kill, was named Robert Lister.
Invented Listerine.
Yes.
Really? I'm kidding.
He just, I'm actually not sure if he actually invented Listerine, but Listerine is still named for, he innovated aseptic, antiseptic theory and practice as a result of working with this dude. This dude's acolyte or protege went on to like revolutionize antiseptic practice and stuff. And that guy's name was Lister, whom Listerine is named for.
Well, I'll be goddamned.
So yeah,
Well, hey, while
yeah,
we're
people hated him because he was like at least one of the guys saying like, "Hey, I think y'all might want to wash your hands before you deliver that baby on account of you just chop that cadaver up
yeah,
to help the detectives pretend they're
yeah,
going to solve a murder." And people were like, "Poppycock,
yeah,
get out of here, charlatan. What do you know?"
yeah,
And like that's really how it went.
yeah. I mean, it
That's
was all
often how it goes, dude. When you're
it
like the one that figures some shit out, people
will get
that
killed.
don't hit for people. Yeah.
No, it does not hit for people. And we might have even talked about this before, but how like, yeah, the way it was discovered, like disease transfer or whatever, was that like just every newborn baby's mom died. Like all of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, dude. And they were like, the doctor would just come in with his hands covered in Civil War blood or whatever and be
Yeah,
like, let
yeah.
me get that boy out of there.
Yeah.
Come here, you boogity
Yeah.
boogity boogity.
So specifically, I mean, I did say it wasn't him. The Dr. Joseph Lawrence invented and named Listerine, but he named Listerine for Dr. Lister, who, he was inspired by or whatever. So anyway, yeah. But it's why, like, I mean, imagine like otherwise hitting real hard at a thing and then being known pretty much only for super not hitting at it. And then further imagine that wasn't even true.
Right.
The story of you not hit, like, that's just a bummer, dude.
It's like the opposite of Christopher Columbus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Or there's
right.
several dudes where it's like that. Their life is like so much in reverse of that.
Thomas Edison, a lot of people
Thomas
say.
Edison, I
Yeah.
think you could make some arguments to like maybe George Washington. And
There's a lot of people. I thought George Washington hit. George Washington didn't hit.
George Washington does hit, but it was kind of like, we all know the cherry tree thing's bullshit. We all know that it's like he definitely could tell a lie because he had to, because he was a president, and also that his teeth were not made of wood. They were made of slave teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying like some people's reputation gets polished into greatness, and some great people's reputation gets smeared into shit.
Yeah. And it ain't fair.
Right. It don't hit.
This episode is sponsored by BlueChew. Let's talk about sex, fellers. What do you think? Guys, remember the days back in the day when you were always ready to get down anytime it came up? You know what I mean? Always had that wiener strength going. Well, it's all right. Now you can get that confidence back in bed. It's time to increase your performance. Listen up, BlueChew.com. BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead, or you can just be ready whenever an opportunity comes up. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done on the internet there, which means no more visits to the doctor's office. No more awkward wiener conversations. No more waiting in line for your wiener pills at the pharmacy, running into your high school librarian. None of that. Blue Chew's tablets are made here in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped direct to your door in a very discreet package. Joe, they hit for you. Tell them about it.
They hit for me so hard. You just touched on one of the reasons why. It's not that I'm running into my high school librarian at the pharmacy. It's that the pharmacist actually went to high school with me. So that don't hit. You know what I mean? But I love it. Been using it for 5 years, and it don't have to mean that there's something, quote unquote, wrong with your wiener. You know what I'm saying? Mark McGwire was still hitting home runs before 98. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the reason he was able to break Roger Maris's record is because he had a little oomph, baby, except for this is a lot safer oomph. I absolutely love it. Love when I see the postman get that envelope. It is absolutely fantastic. A lot of people ask me, they say, Corey, does it work? I said, does it work? It makes my dick harder than getting rid of this back pain that's been ailing me for 2 weeks. Good Lord. Here's the deal, y'all. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free. And when you use our promo code POA at checkout, you just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast and giving us a rock hard ding dong. Honorable mention, Sammy Sosa.
Yo, you know how like sometimes you'll be listening to a song on the radio and you just get overcome with this profound feeling that this song was somehow written about you and your relationships, like you and your dad, you and your son, if you are a dad. Those are some of the most powerful song feelings that a person can get from music. And I know all about it, having a late father and having 2 sons of my own. There's plenty of songs out there that get me straight up misty-eyed, mistier than them mountains in the distance. My eyes get when these songs come on. Well, guess what? Imagine if you had the power to give that exact feeling to someone you love, to your own dad, let's say maybe for Father's Day, with an original song from Songfinch that actually is written just for that person. It's not just in their head. It's literally written for them from you. Songfinch lets you create an original radio quality song inspired by your own life and the people you love. It is completely unique, personal, and lasts forever. It's very, very cool. Me and Cho have used it multiple times. Cho, take it from there. It hits. It's very cool.
Oh, dude. It hits so hard, and honestly, I am going to say some stuff about it here in a minute, but I think I should let Songfinch speak for themselves. Here's the one they did for my dad. Y'all know him as Big Papa Producer. I'll play a little clip here.
You got the attention span of a goldfish. If something ever happened to Laura, you'd be hopeless. If something ever happened to Laura, you'd be dead in a week. Don't forget you almost died drinking sweet tea. BPP, Big Papa Producer. Go ahead, strap in, it's gonna be super. Go ahead, strap in, it's gonna be a roast. From the son who loves you the most. How much ketchup can you actually swallow? I don't think you're supposed to use the whole bottle. If you spill something, God for your wife, cause you never washed clothes in your entire life. Let's not talk about...
Dude, talk about got him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not quite Cats in the Cradle, but it hits very close to home, though, for sure.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
Goes
dude.
hard.
It is absolutely tremendous stuff. Whether your song is for Father's Day or an upcoming graduation, wedding, or anniversary, or even just a gift to show your loved one how much you care, start your song now to lock in one of Songfinch's top artists. That was Wei-San Key. That's who I use. I'm not saying you have to, but he rules. For a limited time, Songfinch is letting our listeners upload their song to Spotify for free, so you and the lucky person you gift it to can listen to it anywhere, anytime. Go to songfinch.com/POA and start your song. After you purchase, you'll be prompted to add Spotify streaming for your original song for free. It's a $50 value. You get it for free. Again, our URL is songfinch.com/POA, and don't forget to share your song with us too. Songfinch.com/POA. And let me add real quick that the process was so freaking easy. I'm an idiot, and I just, I gave my information to Wei-San, and he was like, I got you, bro. Don't worry about it. And boom. You know what I mean? So, I'm telling you, dude, it's foolproof. Songfinch.com/POA. Do it. It hits.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. While we're here, I was actually going to talk about this either later or if we run out of time, not at all. But this is exactly on sort of a thing that I wanted to talk about today, which is, have you ever heard of Trepanation?
Yeah, the hole in your head stuff.
A hole in your head stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh,
yeah, that shit goes way back, dude. We were just talking on Well Read this week. Briefly at the end, I brought up earlier forms of human beings like Homo erectus and stuff like that in Neanderthals. They found skulls of them. So not even Homo sapiens. They've found Neanderthal skulls of prior species of human beings that had been trepanated. Or that appeared to have been trepanated. So we've been doing the hole in the head thing for a long time.
Yeah, the oldest one they found was actually from 8,000 years ago. And there's a lot of speculation on did they do that and then they died because of that? Or was something else going on and they were like, quick, cut a hole in their head, and then they died then they died anyways.
I mean, you gotta let the demons out,
And that was a big part of what it was. A lot of them literally thought, they're like, there's demons in your head, I'm gonna cut a hole in it or whatever. But all right, listen to my fucking theory. All right. This is stupid, but this is where my brain immediately went. All right. At some point, there had to be a first motherfucker to ever see a brain. You know what I mean? There was a group of people who, if you just died regular, they just throw you in the ditch and whatever. But there had to be a first motherfucker in some cave tribe that saw a brain, because they were out. I don't know. They's hollering at a dinosaur. A boulder fell. It hit him on his head crushed. and there was this pink splatter in there or whatever, right? Well,
Right.
this motherfucker goes back and he's like, you know, and like all this translates to like, we've got pink squishy goo goo up here. And someone was like, nuh-uh. And he was like, bullshit. And so they grabbed the dumbest motherfucker there and was like, I'll show you. And they cut a hole in his head just to show and be like, look, there it is. And then like, you know what I mean? Something like that.
I mean, yeah, I feel like a caveman didn't appreciate the look another caveman had on his face or something, thwomped him with a club the way cavemen did, and was like, ugh, you know, because
right.
the hole that was left in the skull, you know, there was like brain there or whatever. I bet also what happened a time or two, and we're doing the thing we do, we're pulling this fully out of our butts here, but
we should just rename the show.
Like I just did with that Neanderthal thing or whatever. I'm actually, you said it was 8,000 years ago. Neanderthals were way before that, so I was wrong. But anyway,
yeah,
been happening a long time. I bet also the way shit got associated with the goo goo in your you know head rock was that like people. I bet that like there was a caveman who was a real asshole.
Yeah,
right? Ugh was just a piece of shit. And then one day Og wasn't taking
just drawing
shit anymore.
Just carving Pepe memes on the side of the fucking cave,
and went over there either with a big old club or a hock of ham from a mammoth or something, and thumped him with it real hard. And then after that he was kind of cool, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure plenty of times they died, but I bet a few times they're like, "Oh, not so bad," you know what I mean? Like after, like sometimes if you hit them in the head, it's fine after that, you know.
Right.
And they'd probably go on from there. That's my assumption.
No, I get it.
Made that connection,
and I think that got superimposed into our DNA to where still even modern men be like, you know what? He just needs to have his ass whooped. Is all it is. Is all he needs is to have his ass whooped.
That is still how many theory.
How many times has there been someone that has been kind of a ugga bugga, and everybody's like, you know what? If he'd just get his ass whipped one good time, he'd probably stop being like that.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
a lot of times it does happen. Like I had a ugga in my middle school who ugga buggered me, and I knocked that motherfucker straight in the head. And guess what? He turned out to be all right after that. You know.
Well, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, you're right.
This is what's interesting about Trepanation too, is that like it actually had a higher mortality rate in more recent times than it did in the past. Like they would do it in the past, and like most time people would just live like with a hole in their motherfucking head, but they would just live. And then these like modern scientists started like studying or whatever and trying to do it, and like everybody was dying, and they couldn't figure out how the fuck did they do it, but we can't do it. And this like they were also trying to figure out like why the fuck would they do it anyways, except they were like, well, the prevailing theory is of course to release the demons, but other than that, whatever. Well, this Dutch or something scientist, his name was Hattie Hughes, he hypothesized that children, right, because you know how babies and when the skull is like still in two parts, like it ain't fused yet. Right. Yeah. And it takes a while to fuse. Like it takes a while. Like you're a child. And he hypothesized that since children, because their skulls weren't fused, that they were on some sort of higher consciousness plane. And it sort of explained the whole mouths of babes things and how kids every now and then just seemed like so much wiser. And that really it's just that they had imaginary friends and shit. And so he thought like, well, he performed a self-trepidation on it. Trepanation on himself, I guess, to try to split his skull in half so that he could be more like a fucking kid.
Yeah, you can see how that would hit.
Yeah, you could see how that would hit.
Split your skull in half.
Anyways, that's all I got on trepanation.
It's funny that they used to apparently think that like somehow a demon took a wrong turn in Albuquerque and got like lost and stuck in somebody's brain. It's
usually a woman.
They want to get out, obviously. We just need to cut a hole so they can get out. It's like you have all kinds of holes all over your head. It's like, well, they can't leave through those holes.
Right.
those are in holes. I
That
guess.
that one stinks. He don't want to go out that way.
Right. I mean, but it's like, yeah, right. How'd you get in there in the first place? And it's like the presumption that, like, if a demon wasn't there and you just open up a hole, he's probably gonna be like, no, this hits for me here. I'm here for a reason. I like making this bitch crab walk all over town. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to. I ain't trying to leave yet. This party just getting started. Check this out. Her head turns backwards. The green vomit goes everywhere. He's like,
somebody at home, please write this down and email it to me so I'll never forget. I like making this bitch crab walk around town.
Well, that's what they do.
I know. Oh my God.
So, related to the brain, I had another thing I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
I saw this report from this Stanford neuroscientist named Robert Sapolsky.
Okay.
He's highly respected, oft published, written multiple books. And in recent years, like in his most recent book, which came out last year, I believe, he said that after years, like decades, this dude's in his 60s or something, decades of studying the neuroscience and the brain activity and all that, and the behavior of humans and also great apes, that after decades of studying that, he has determined fully, completely, concretely, and resolutely that free will does not exist. And I thought, philosopher Cho, I'd say the basic argument goes from this guy. And before I get started, know that he's a prior recipient of the MacArthur Genius Grant. Like I said, he's been a neuroscientist and biologist at Stanford for years. He's like, he hits in his field. Having said that, only about 11% of neuroscientists are on board with him, which means 80 something percent are like, that ain't it. But his theory is that everything that you do, every choice that you make actually comes down to like a biological action, like a thing, like stuff, physical stuff in your brain. Like you make the decision to say this word, but like neurons fire and
to tell you to do that.
Like
you didn't make a choice.
Physical things happen in the world that make every choice that we think we make happen. And further, everything that ever does happen is preceded by some type of stimulus or causal effect. Like there's an impetus for every movement, every choice, every decision, anything that anyone ever does. And sometimes you have to trace that chain of causal events, deterministic factors, back not just to their childhood, but back generations, back to where their people came from. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're looking like the factor that race plays and whatever else. But then at the end of the day, everything is deterministic and is a result of, aspects of our environment, things that are external to us and beyond our control, which means that really we do not have free will. He says further,
and what's going to happen is going to happen,
and that the choice you make is the only choice you were ever going to make, and all that. But further, he says that because there's no free will, that if society accepted that, he says it would be a hitting thing. He says it would be liberating, because
it would let too many people off the hook, though.
I agree with that. I wanted to see what you thought about it. This dude way smarter than me and everything. But
this is religion.
I'm not with this for a number of reasons. Because I was going to say, if you ask me, I'm not on this guy's level, but another genius, noted poet, philosopher, studier of the human condition, John Bon Jovi had to say on this subject, and I think it's very prescient. He says,
"Whoa!
If there's one thing I hang on to, that gets me through the night, I ain't gonna do what I don't want to. I'm gonna live my life shining like a diamond, rolling with the dice, standing on the ledge. I show the wind how to fly. When the world gets in my face, I say, have a nice day." And so is it Dr. Robert Sapolsky or is it John Bon Jovi Esquire? You know what I mean? You got two differing sides of the argument here, the debate.
And I would say
determinism and free will. And I wonder what you think about that, Show.
Well, I would say that also on the side of John Bon Jovi would be Professor Emeritus Fred Durst, who said, "I'm gonna do things my way, my way, my way, or the highway," clearly implying choice.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But if it's possible for me to get serious for a minute, that freaks me out because I just watched Devs, and that's what Devs is.
I knew you had just watched that show when I was reading this earlier, and so I was like, he's probably been thinking about this.
I have been thinking about this a lot, but like, and while I was watching Devs and I was having to explain it to Amber, which I guess I'll probably have to explain it to you now too, because you and her are both the same amount of Bible dumb, right?
Yeah.
So the reason that this type of shit pisses me the fuck off, and the reason that I do not want that to get into popular thought and theory is because, like, dude, that is literally what we were told when we were kids in the church about predestination and all this stuff, about how, like, they would tell you, they were like, God, you know, when God was on the cross, he saw everything that you were ever going to do, and he saw everything that your son was ever going to do, and blah, 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 blah. And I was the first youngin' to be like, okay, so that means that I don't have a like, if he saw it, that means that it's going to happen, right? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, so there's no free will. And they're like, yeah, you have the free will. Like, you have to accept Christ in your heart. And I'm like, but you don't, though. But if Jesus saw it, what he saw has to be true. If we all believe in him, then what he saw has to be true. And in order for that to be true, if I do something different, Jesus is a liar. You know what I mean? And like, that can't fucking happen. But they do this, that every single thing God has planned out. Everything happens for a reason, and God has planned out, and you don't have any control. And that's why sometimes you just got to let go and let God, honey. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's a fucking dangerous way to be. But it also used to fuck with me when, like, when the Mel Gibson movie Passion of the Christ and shit came out. Like, I didn't know. I'm not kidding. When I was a kid in the church, never heard a word about hating the Jews. Never heard one goddamn word about it. Like, frankly, I don't even think we knew it was Jews until I got to, like, school and then learned about the Holocaust and stuff. Like, Jews were never, like, obviously they would say, like, Jesus was a Jew and there were Jews or whatever, but, like, never in a hateful way or anything like that. Well, then Passion of the Christ comes out, and everybody's like, the goddamn Jews killed Jesus. Fuck the Jews, all that. This is going to get clipped out. Yeah. And anyways, then I was like, well, hold on now. Predestination, all this shit, your whole religion and every single thing about you and everything that you hold dear is contingent on Jesus dying on the cross. So the Jews played a big part in that. Why are you mad? Because if they don't do that, then he doesn't die on the cross. It doesn't absolve you of your sins. The Old Testament remains true, and you burn in hell for all eternity because there was no one there to fucking save you. So either that's fucking horse shit, or shut the fuck up about the goddamn Jews. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's an evergreen sentence.
Another aspect of it to me is, it's like, and he says all this, it's just he takes it to its extreme. But he's like, you know, a lot of people, like privileged and accomplished and successful people, just don't hear for them because they don't like the idea that they really don't have any kind of credit to take for it.
Right.
It's like you're literally you're just a function of a million different causes and effects overall, and you had no control over any of it ever, which means you don't deserve any kind of accolades. You're not special. He was like, but that's the privileged few. The vast majority of people should be liberated by this because it goes the other way too. If you're
scum,
destitute, you're destitute. If things don't hit for you, if you've caught nothing but bad break after bad break, that ain't your fault. And the way it is now, the people in the first category are celebrated, jerked off, lauded. The people in the second category are blamed, reviled, looked down upon, whatever.
Right.
And he's saying neither of those things should happen. But, like, I just think I think a version of that is true, and I agree with him. Bothers me, meaning, like, the whole super rich people that are born on third base and think they hit a triple, that whole thing. Like, I'm totally with that. They don't need to be praised. They do need to recognize the good fortune they have benefited from. And then people that are poor, they're not just lazy. It's not just their fault because they just don't want to work hard to make money. It's like, it's fucking hard. And some people never had a shot in hell.
But this discounts you the most. This discounts somebody like you the most.
Well, but it's like, I mean, right. Yeah. Because it's a big, but yes, it's like he says, it's your, we know we can look, we could say a child is X percentage more likely if they've had this traumatic event in their life. And every traumatic event you add, he was talking about this whole equation, but he didn't spell it out explicitly. I should have tried to look it up, but, like literally it's like whatever, I don't know, death of a parent, abandonment, poverty, whatever, there's like a list of things. And every one of those adds a statistical percentage to the likelihood that child will be, a criminal or not,
Right.
or a drug addict or both or whatever. And it's like, there's always going to be statistical outliers, which I am one, but how does that jive with what this dude is saying? If there's nothing inside of anybody that makes anybody different in any direction, like, I think it's an element of both. Like a lot of people don't give enough, weight to external environmental factors that people cannot help, that are beyond their control. And this isn't just about like poverty and class and all that either. It's also in your given industry or job, especially Hollywood, but in other ones too. Like luck, straight up blind luck is such a
it's the number one
part of all of it. And a lot of people won't acknowledge that no matter what, because people that are on the bottom don't want to acknowledge it because they want to believe that they don't have to rely on luck. Right. And people on the top don't want to acknowledge it because they don't want to take credit away from themselves and acknowledge that they were lucky. But it's true. So there's something to a lot of that, but I'm not taking that as far as saying, I'm not taking that all the way to the extreme of like, there's literally no free will and no one has any agency at all. And it's nothing but those things. Like, cause I just think that's crazy. And the dude does say, like, if you murder somebody, we still got to put your ass in jail.
Well, of course. We have to because we were going to. We have to because we were going to.
Yeah, so he's not saying no one ever has to be held accountable for anything, but he does say that, like, sure, if a murderer murders, they got to go to prison, but we should still acknowledge that it's not actually their fault. They had no choice in the matter. They were always going to murder, and it was never up to them. But they should still go to jail, but we shouldn't blame them for it. And it's like, I don't know. A lot of the elements of that.
She was always going to backtalk him when he came home from work. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's but a lot of the elements of the argument or the ideology, I'm kind of with, but the whole full thing, taking it all the way out to that extreme, I just think it just ain't it for me.
Well, there's two reasons I don't like it. Well, now there's one huge reason I don't like it, and I'll get into that in a second, but I want to put a bow on this last thing real quick on the whole, like, luck versus hard work, and like people, they won't like this because they have to think that it was their choices or whatever. I've never understood why someone can't understand that two things can be true at the same time and acknowledge them. Like, I've never understood why there's some people that go like, luck has nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Right. And then, like, because to me, it's like, I work my ass off. I do, but I've gotten so lucky along the way for my ass working off to have been acknowledged by certain people, and it put me in these positions. And it's like, I won't say her full name because I don't like to name drop, but we've got a friend named Whoopi who told who I was having this conversation with one time, and Whoopi, I shouldn't have said if it was a woman or man. Now people are going to like maybe kind of know. She was talking about how awesome I was at stand-up comedy and how great I was. And I was just like, yeah, and all our success with our book or whatever. And I said, I was like, I've gotten so lucky. And she's like, it's true that you have. It's true that you have gotten lucky. We've all gotten lucky. But here's the thing. You've worked so hard that when luck happened to you, you were able to take advantage of it. So, like, there does have to be both. You know what I mean? Like, because someone could get lucky, but if they haven't worked hard, that luck's going to turn into one thing and then it's going to go away. But I don't understand why people who have achieved these massive things can't say, I worked my ass off, but I got to be honest with you, there are people that I know who worked just as fucking hard as me, and they're not standing here right now. And it was all because I took a left and they took a right, and neither one of us knew which one was going to be which.
That right there too, the left, right, no one had any way of knowing which, and I'm just got to be like, you were always going to choose left, they were always going to choose right. It doesn't matter. But the other thing I don't like about this is it doesn't account or allow for, like, like chaos theory, random chance things like the butterfly flaps its wings, whatever, or like sliding doors theory, or the idea
the
that
multiverse, it fucks the multiverse completely over.
Yes. And
that's what I was going to say.
Yes. The multiverse. Yeah. Right. If this guy's right, there cannot be there's only one way of everything ever from start to finish. And it's like, I just don't buy that. I just think that I think that it's highly plausible that there's a version of me out there that like never met Katie, right?
Yes.
Or that he's been that guy's probably 300 pounds and on his deathbed. But anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that's I don't know. I'm not saying I believe that that's literally how things work, but I kind of like the idea of that. And
that's way better.
It makes sense to me, right?
It makes like way more sense.
Infinite possibilities. And like, I don't know.
I know there's a lot of people listening to this because, and by the way, I know we both hear it too. We hear this guy and we go, that's poppycock. It's the multiverse that is true. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like that does make way more sense to me. That makes way more sense to me. And it's, you know what, man, maybe it is all religion, because like, to me, it's just like, it comforts me to believe this. Therefore I believe it. Right. Which is all religion is. But like, I'm currently watching Dark Matter, which is all about multiversal stuff. Mm-hmm. And basically the reason in multiverse theory, the reason that there is an infinite number of possibilities is because each branch is split off from individual decisions. So there's infinite numbers. Right. So like, right now there's a version of us who never talked about this on the podcast, right? But there's also millions of versions of us that never started this podcast because you didn't meet Katie and you burn out of comedy because you didn't have a support staff. Me and you never met. This show never fucking happened. And then I don't meet you and I don't get my lucky fucking break with a book. And I'm either maybe I made it anyways. Who fucking knows? You know, I had hard work ethic. But that's the idea, is like, it's every single tiny decision. And it is like as little as like, I went left, but what's the version of the world where I went right? You know what I mean? Yes. And like, I just cannot buy into this.
That doesn't exist in some fashion. Even if there is only one, the idea that like those crossroads moments where it's like, I did this, what if I had done this instead? The idea that like,
you never
could have. You never could have done that, no matter what. Like, this is the only way it could ever be across all of time and human experience.
Right.
Just like, I mean, again, this dude's much smarter than me. That just don't hit for me.
No, it don't hit for me either.
I just don't like it.
I'm the type of person to where, like, you know, usually the Cho brain, I could figure out a way to make this hit for me, because then I'd be like, see, all those times y'all shit talked me for whatever. It's like, I didn't have a choice. But then y'all could come back with him. We didn't have a choice but to shit talk you. We were always going to shit talk you. And I don't like the whole letting everyone off the hook for everything. Like, no, fuck that. Life is about choices. Who you are is the choices that you make, right? And we're talking about this all being generational and shit like that. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, mental illness runs in my family, right? I'm the only one that's ever gotten help for it. All right. I don't think that was because that was always going to be. I think that's because that I fucking like I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain this other than like, I've made some fucking real good decisions and I want to be lauded for them. God damn it. And I've made some bad fucking decisions and I accept fully that I fucked up. Like, I knew I shouldn't have done that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like,
I wasn't on some escalator.
If this guy is correct, then we wouldn't all be here today, in the words of another noted esteemed philosopher, George Jones, living and dying with the choices we've made, you know? Like, it's that's the game of life you play, you know?
Yeah.
So
I got a couple other things, Trae.
I have gone through all of my things.
Okay.
So
hey, don't worry, buddy. I'll bring you home. I got a couple of things going to hit for you. Now, I know the order I'm going to go in, because the second one we could take a while. So this actually, I was going to play it earlier because you shared a dog video. I too have a dog video. This is a lady who went on a British show, talking about how her dog is a vegetarian. And I think this is really going to hit for you.
She seemed to perk up, be a lot happier.
Did she like it straight away? Like, you put that food down, she didn't
she's
turn her nose up?
likes more of the wet food type thing. It's more palatable as she's drinking those water. But no, really took to it.
Two bowls here, right?
Oh, no.
One is full of vegetables and one is full of meat.
Amen.
Storm, we hate to put the temptation in front of you,
You
but
ready for lunch, Storm?
right? Let her go. Let her go.
Well, she's obviously going to go. Obviously. Are you double?
Yes. There is.
That dude on the left hits for me.
Yeah,
very hard.
the blonde-headed guy.
Yeah, if he may have just presented the situation, but whoever came up with, what we're gonna do to this?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that person hits for me because, that reminds me. Do you ever watch the show House?
I watched the pilot and a couple random episodes that were on. I know I'll love it, but I love
show.
Hugh Laurie so
great
much.
Network show. I mean, I watched it like while it was airing years and years ago, but show hits. And I still remember from way back then, so this is like 20 years ago at this point. There's an episode where this like new age vegan couple has a baby and they're like, no, our baby's vegan. Right. Like our baby's going to be vegan. So we're just getting, and Hugh Laurie's like, well, your baby's dying. Is what your baby's doing because that's R-worded. Babies are not vegan. But like, whether you like it or not, babies need fat, babies need this, babies need whatever. It's like your baby is literally going to die if you don't, stop giving it nothing but nut milk or whatever. So that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah. And
they probably have vegan options for babies today.
They definitely do.
Formula, like vegan formula or something.
Yeah, I mean, I drink vegan vegan protein shakes, so like I know that they definitely have to exist for a baby.
But if you have a mother, if the mama is pure vegan and her titty milk would be vegan, and that would still be fine, right? Or would the baby not be getting the nutrients and stuff that they need even in that situation?
See, I don't know. Like there's certain vegans, like, I was listening to, because, I'm not full vegan, but I do it like two or so times a week just to help with my cholesterol, because a lot of vegan things have no cholesterol because cholesterol comes from animal fat and all this shit. So I'm not like, and also, it ain't for no fucking moral reasons. Like, I don't believe that we should just be stacking up cows just to shoot them in the fucking head. But like, I know that's where the meat comes from and the meat hits for me. So like, obviously I'm participating in that system. But like, because I only do it a couple days a week, I'm not really too worried about it. And also like I eat the vegan stuff that I know has a lot of protein in it, because there are vegan things that have a lot of protein in it. But I was listening to WTF with Marin, and Neil Brennan was the guest, and he was talking about, they were like having a vegan off or whatever. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, but you're taking supplements, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I take all the supplements. But they're naming all the supplements you have to take when you're vegan. And it's like, I mean, guys,
what does that tell you?
This kind of puts, that's kind of it for me.
So I Googled it. I Googled it and it says like you can get soy-based infant formula, or if you're a vegan mother and you just breastfeed, that's fine. But it says usually supplements, for example, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and iron supplements may be required for the baby as well, because they will not be getting the things that they need without any kind of...
No offense, but like, case fucking closed, in my opinion. But like with a dog especially, like how, like it's just such proof that like veganism is only ever... I mean, obviously there's some animals that literally are carnivores. I get that. But like, veganism is usually a moral thing. Usually. Because
if you mean like people, I saw a vegan the other day. I saw this clip making rounds on the internet with this vegan, and it was presented where I saw it from, some lefty or something. It's like, watch this vegan own a meat eater with facts and logic or whatever. And the vegan, I don't remember what he said at first, but it was fine for a while. But then he starts going in this whole thing. He's like, human beings biologically are herbivores. Look at our teeth. Look at the teeth. Compare our teeth to the teeth of herbivores, whatever. It's like, we might have been opportunistic omnivores, but biologically speaking, it's indisputable that we are herbivores. And like, that shit just is not true.
Yeah. Like, and hold on. First off, before we go any further, like, I know we have a lot of vegan listeners. I'm absolutely not saying fuck you, and it's totally fine. No,
a lot of that's what I was about to say. Like, a lot of the vegan arguments, especially the ones about the environment and stuff like that, are
Yeah,
like
they
they're
make sense.
objectively right about.
Of course. If
Which
we
is why
ate
you don't need to
less-
resort to making bullshit arguments that are not true,
Right.
like arguing that humans are. No, we're not biologically herbivores, but we have overcome that technologically, and we have the capacity to be herbivores today via choice. And maybe it would be better for the whole world if we were. That is true. But when you
Yeah.
start making bullshit arguments, all you do is lose people.
Exactly.
And that's all I'm saying.
And luckily, honestly, I'm doing it for my health, right? Which is again why I usually only talk about it to you or whatever, because like, I don't know, you say, if I tell some of my friends around here, they're like, are you, well, what is that? And I'm like, well, this is a vegan thing. They're like, you're a fucking vegan. What the? And I'm like, whoa. I'm doing it for my cholesterol. Tomorrow I'm gonna have a goddamn hamburger. It's just, I'm reducing the amount. And that part of like, because there's plenty, I promise you, because I follow them for vegan recipes. There are plenty of vegans who are full vegans, but yet aren't assholes, because they're like, they go, dude, in my opinion, if someone came up to me and said, like, I go vegan 2 days a week, he goes, I consider that a win. There's so many vegans that would be like, if it's not 7 days a week, fuck you. He's like, I consider that a win, because like, for me, like, if everyone would just reduce a little bit, so much of the problem would be solved. Like, it's like, and there's some of them that are like, dude, I don't think it's bad to eat meat. It's bad the amount of meat that we eat. And if we would just reduce that. So like, but again, moralistically, I'm not sitting here saying that like, I go vegan 2 and 3 days a week to reduce my carbon footprint. I'm glad that it does. That's a nice side effect, but it's just so I don't have a heart attack when I'm 42 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but bro, like I sent you that IG reel of that barbecue tray in Brooklyn or whatever.
God.
And I mean, see, come on, dog.
We carnivores.
You're right. Yeah, it's just for y'all.
Why do it hit? Hey, can I ask you this?
Tray stacked to the sky with like brisket, ribs, sausage, pulled pork, all this stuff, and it all looked fire. And I'm like you said, you moaned. Just the memory of it made you moan. It's like there's,
here's my argument.
There's got to be a reason for that.
Here's my argument for all the people that say that, oh, humans are actually herbivores. All right. Let me lay out my case, and it's a very simple case. Why do it hit though?
Right, right, exactly.
Hold on. Did you hear me?
Hard.
Why do it hit though? You know what I'm saying? Like, because
so hard.
It hits so fucking hard,
right.
And you barely don't even have to do nothing to it. You know what I mean?
Because I know a lot of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of them, well, yeah, but if you take the meat and do all that stuff to it, it's like no wonder it was great, bro. You ain't even need to do that. You ain't even need to do that. Salt, pepper, heat, fucking fire. And by the way, like I could still, if you seared me a steak without salt and pepper on it, I'm not gonna be happy, but it will still kind of hit for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just the fat and the juices and shit. But that dog right there, it's like proof that's like, dude, a dog can't make a moral decision. No, therefore, it's what I'm
always like. Animals don't give a fuck. They don't care.
Right.
Like they want what they want biologically. Like dogs hunt and kill and eat things.
And
so do cats, right?
Yeah,
like cats are like, it's way worse when somebody tries to do that to a cat, because dogs, they are omnivores. Like they'll eat anything.
Yeah, they love vegetables and shit.
But like cats are obligate carnivores.
Right.
And so anybody tries to like make a cat, and I've always think about that too. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of overlap, but maybe I'm wrong. Like strict vegans,
they have cats.
Are they allowed to have pets and stuff?
Ooh.
Because like a cat,
allowed
love
is a
cats,
strong
but
word.
you can't have a cat if like, you know what I mean? Because you can't feed a cat and keep it alive
without meat,
without compromising a vegan philosophy, right? I mean, you just can't do it. Like so.
Well, I guess this is where you find out, because like I said, there's different types of vegans. There's moral vegans and there's health reason vegans, right? And so like me being a health reason, what was it Kirby said that I was trying to figure up a name for my specific veganism, and she said I was it vegan curious? It wasn't that shit. I don't know. Vegan fluid. That's what it is. Kirby called me vegan fluid. So like for me, because it's not a moral thing, even if I went full vegan in my diet, like I would have no problem getting salmon to give to my cat. You know what I mean? But you're correct. Like if someone hypothetically like a Neil Brennan has a cat, then like,
well, I mean, I know for a fact Mark Maron has cats,
right?
But I don't know. I don't know what Maron's rationale for being vegan is.
Maron's only been vegan for like a year too.
Right. He's a big cat lover.
Cat.
He's a big cat lover, and he's a vegan now. But I don't know. It may be mostly a health thing for him, or I don't know. I don't think that would be a gotcha for him. I don't think. I think
no. Well, and also, like, dude, you've had the cat. Like, well, also, I think that, like, I think there's ways around it, like where you go, like, I can make this choice, but the cat can't. So what I'm doing is not bad. Like, because I would agree with that. It's like, but you're still supporting the fucking fishmongers. It's like, just to give to a fucking cat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and it's like, you could be like, well, I saved this cat. And it's like, okay, but now that you've saved that cat, how many sardines have you condemned to die? You know, or whatever the fuck they're making.
Fuck a sardine.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck a goddamn sardine. Have you opened a can of them motherfuckers like that little mother?
Oh, dude. I mean, I've always said,
like that right now.
I've always said, like, vegans make some compelling arguments, but for some, like, I know pigs, I understand that pigs are smart and a lot smarter than people think and all this stuff. And like, it's just a real shame that they hit as hard as they do to eat. That's all I know to say. Like, they're the goats. They're the goats of meat to eat. Like, they just taste so good. And that's a real shame for them. But I get how that is wrong and upsetting. Cows too, people point out all the time. It's like, cows are way more like dogs, and people realize cows have best friends. They get sad when their best friend has got all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but they hit too, but I hear you. I hear you. But like fish, especially, but even chickens, I tell this story every time it comes up, but like chickens, I covered him on here, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. On a previous episode. In like the 1930s, there was a chicken that made millions of dollars on the sideshow circuit because it did not have a head and was alive. This living chicken toured the country without a head as part of a freak show, and they fed it with a little dropper of grain down the open hole in its neck, and it just walk around flopping its open neck into the ground and stuff. And
trying to just shove corn into its little hole.
And it's like, we can eat them, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Guys,
like,
you heard it. You heard it here first. Fish and chicken are fucking all right? They are.
Yes,
it's fine to eat them. Fuck, man. But anyways, again, like,
you just reminded me though, before we get too far, I don't know what, but you, like, I just said on a previous episode, we talked about that headless chicken. Also on a previous episode, you sent me a thing this week. Somebody on Reddit, somebody on the POA Reddit was like, I just learned that fancy British people back in the day got all fascinated with mummies and was doing all this wild shit with mummies. I was thinking this would be a good subject for the boys to cover on the show. Well, do we have news for you?
Yep.
That is literally the subject, one of the subjects we covered on the very first ever episode of Puttin on Airs, literally episode number 1. So if you came here anytime after the fact and you haven't, first of all, if you have done that, if you've showed up since we've started and you haven't gone back to the very beginning, I highly, highly recommend that you do, because we were like getting hammered in the same room together and filming 3-4 episodes at a time, day after day, doing that. And it got wild and slap happy and fun and fancy free. And there were some good times. But the very first episode, we talk all about the mummy craze.
We do.
And there's some hits in it. So,
well, in that Reddit thread, someone was like, yes, they did talk about mummies, but I don't think they actually talked about people eating them, specifically eating them. And so anyways, I've actually prepared a clip. This is going to be, and this is a good clip, I think, just to show you, like, go back and watch the first couple episodes. Mainly it's just because you hit real hard for me. So,
while most individual mummies exclusively belong to one category or the other, there are examples of both types being connected to a single culture, such as those from ancient Egypt and also the Andean cultures of South America. But South America didn't hit for them back then. It was all about Egypt. They didn't just unwrap them. They did all kinds of shit with them, dude. They were grinding mummies up and putting the mummy dust into like lipsticks and shit. Yes, they would take it for like fucking, sexual potency or whatever, just snorting mummies or whatever, and putting it into lipsticks. And it's like, oh, girls, is that mummy dick brown? Mummy Dick Brown is in this season.
That's my niece's favorite crayon.
But everybody loves Mummy Dick Brown, and that's not even a joke. I'm adding the word dick, but yeah, I remember that. It was Mummy Brown was like a hotly sought after paint shade or color, whatever you want to call it, amongst artists during that era. But yeah, grinding them up and taking it to make your dick hard and stuff. It's like
that's eating.
I'm about to say, when you say eating them, it sounds like you mean sitting down at a dinner table and slicing off pieces of mummy like it's a roast turkey or something. And no, that ain't what I said, because I'm not entirely sure that that's really what happened.
Because why would they do that?
More accurate to say that they ground them up and ingested them, which we did technically cover. So
yeah, this has got me interested in. I know that we've talked about this before. I know that we have, but like I was listening to that episode, and so much of it, obviously, I had forgotten. So like I was just fucking dying laughing. Like it was fucking hilarious. But I'm about to re-listen to the Henry VIII, and I think it might be good too if you went and re-listened to some old episodes and maybe we did some like remixes, because I noticed a couple things when we were doing the up top segment where I was like, well, that ain't true. You know what I mean? I was like, that's
like what?
I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I was just saying, like, we know more now about a lot of the topics that we covered. So it might be interesting to do like a redux or something.
I'm not saying it won't be interesting or funny, but I'm disputing the premise that we, or at least I, know more. I would argue I know much less now about the topics that I covered, but you perhaps may know more now. But yeah, I do not.
Because there would be
at the moment we recorded those episodes, I've never known more about that subject. Before or since than in that moment, because I crammed it all into my head, and then shit it all out on the microphone, and then committed it to the ether. So
there was just several things I was saying specifically on Henry VIII where I was like, oh yeah, and after this, naturally you're going to talk about, and I never did, and I was like, oh shit, I know that now. God damn, what the fuck did I know then? So anyways, I just think it might be interesting, and as always, we encourage, and this is actually in the first episode. We had not yet. I mentioned what I said was, I go, I was talking about Max Kellerman from Around the Horn or whatever. And I was like, we need to have that where people send in and tell us when we're wrong. And we didn't have puttingonairs@gmail.com yet. But the idea, the genesis of the idea was in the first video. So anyways, and don't get me wrong, we still kind of get emails about us being wrong from time to time, and I do read them. But like, I encourage a lot of you, go back, if you've just joined us, go back and watch the old episodes, and feel free to send us email now about old episodes where we got something wrong. I would fucking love to hear it,
Don't we have you seemed to allude earlier to us having an email this week or an airmail from Kim Cusado. Isn't it about us being wrong? You said we were going to get our asses blasted. That's all I heard.
Yeah, sure am. Yeah, I mean, this is as good a time as any to jump into airmail. Let's see. I'll save hers for last. How about that? Oh, God damn it. Okay, here we go. Subject line. Hello, you two handsome geniuses. Yes, I said that to get your attention, but I also believe it. Warning.
Warning. The wrong show, but yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Warning, I might be sending 3 separate airmails. I'll go ahead and tell you she did. I'm not going to read all 3 of them just because of time, but I might read them next week. Acromegaly, which we were talking about last week. There was an actor named Rondo Hatton who suffered from this disorder as an adult. As a young man, he was quite handsome. The distortion in his face led to a career in horror movies. He died from complications of the disease. Speaking of coming in second place in a You So Ugly sweepstakes, Hatton was a contestant on an Ugly Man competition, but lost to a heavily made-up Charles Lawton for the RKO production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's bullshit. RKO had done this dude up and entered him in an Ugly Man contest and fucking beat an actual Uggo.
Yeah, that's wild. That sounds, I mean, if RKO did that, it's why that whole, like, the studio system, the way it used to work, you know what I mean? Like, they obviously had Charles Lawton signed to a contract, and
Yeah.
they like wanted to get their guy in this movie, so they pulled out all the stops and made him as uggo as possible and sent him in there. And this other guy didn't have the resources at his disposal. Yeah, it's wild to think about.
Sure is. Paul Benedict, seen in Jeremiah Johnson and a regular on The Jeffersons as the goofy British neighbor. I remember that sumbitch. Also developed acromegaly as a young adult, but was treated before it became dangerous because a doctor saw him in a play, approached him afterwards, and gave him the diagnosis. I didn't know you could do shit about it.
I didn't either, but shoo-wee, thank God that doctor was there. It's also that doctor come up and be like, I don't think you ought to be this ugly. You know how, like, I think you might got ugly-itis, boy.
You are medically ugly.
Yeah. Have you fallen off an ugly tree recently?
Did you hit every branch on the way down, perhaps?
Yes.
Thomas.
Hits for that guy.
Yeah, Thomas Tryon, an actor, wrote 2 really scary books, scary to me anyways, called The Other and Harvest Home. Harvest Home really gave me the creeps because the town sorceress cursed a young teenage girl with acromegaly because she thought women should have the same opportunities as the men. She went from being pretty to being hideous. She was eventually sacrificed. Okay, I'll stop now before anyone accuses me of being an acromegalomaniac. Tremendous stuff from our friend Marjorie Birch. Thought that was pretty fucking
she
good.
Sure does know a lot about acromegaly.
Yeah, she does. All right, here we go. Subject line: introducing a quintuple threat, aka one talented MFer. Hey there, Trae and Corey. Love your show. When you were praising Donald Glover / Childish Gambino, Ryan Gosling, and Danny Kaye, classic, as folks with extra skills and talents, I thought immediately of a guy who might have been a much more widely celebrated talent if not for being black in a time of Jim Crow and segregation, Sammy Davis Jr. Not only was he the standard triple threat, singing, dancing, acting, he was also a comedian, a very talented impressionist, and he was a phenomenal gun spinner and quick draw artist, known as the fastest gun in Hollywood. Plus, he served in the Army in World War II, dealt with segregation, engaged in the first interracial kiss on Broadway, lost an eye in a car accident at 29, converted to Judaism, married a black woman named White to avoid being brutalized by the mob after they threatened him for dating white actress Kim Novak, married white Swedish actress May Britt in 1960, and faced serious backlash. Miscegenation was still illegal in 23 states at the time. If this had been a white guy, his talent and versatility would have made him much more famous / revered than his white Rat Pack buddies. Instead, he was the butt of all the cringe racist humor in their gigs. Plus, Sammy was a truly fancy dude, gloriously epically fancy. He deserves his own episode of POA. I think we just did it. You know, like those are all the hitting things. Look into him. I'm sure you'll agree. Don't use my name. Just call me Peekaboo. I don't have to look into Sammy Davis Jr. I mean, I know. I've read his book.
I agree that a lot of people have lamented the fact that he was kind of relegated to being the the racist comic relief as far as the Rat Pack goes, while also celebrating how insanely talented he clearly was. Like, and me and Joe both are into old Hollywood and show business and stuff. Like, granted, but like, I definitely am aware of how hard Sammy Davis Jr. hit. I wanted to say
I think everybody was too
on a modern contemporary. Made me realize, we've talked about him before, but not on the show, but somebody who can also do all of those things and is insanely, crazily talented, also a black man, is Jamie Foxx, who was a stand-up comedian and had some fire specials in the 90s. He can sing. Fun. He's a very gifted impressionist. I don't know if you've ever seen him do impressions. I've never seen him do an
Trump
impression.
Is the best Trump.
Spot the
Pitch
fuck
perfect.
on. And
they're actually too good because they're not like cartoons.
Dramatic actor, leading man, badass motherfucker. I'm
Oscar
sure
winner.
He can dance, right? I'm sure he can dance.
Well, yeah,
I just mean because how talented, but also,
it's
but
both.
Yes,
Two things can be true.
So he's another good one for that list for sure. But
Agreed.
Sammy Davis Jr. Not trying to disagree. I'm not disagreeing with you, Peekaboo. He deserves all his flowers.
But I do think that
I
people
think he
know
got
that
him.
he hits. You know.
Yeah, I was about to say like
That's how hard you had to hit as a black man back then.
Yes.
You know?
No. Exactly.
You had to be preternaturally gifted at every form of
reminds me of
entertainment.
my next door neighbor is a fucking dentist.
Yeah. just to pull your tooth out, dentist.
Yeah.
For a black dentist to be in that neighborhood, you'd have to invent teeth.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like I agree that Sammy Davis Jr. shouldn't have been the butt of all jokes, but there was at one point where he was like the fourth most famous person in show business because the Rat Pack was the hottest thing ever. So like I think people are pretty aware, but I hear you. And yeah, maybe again I'll do a Sammy Davis episode and I'll just go back to your email and go further on some of those highlights. All right, last but not least, of course, from Kim Casado, who is a patron of Trae's and a substacker of mine, patreon.com/Trae Crowder, correct?
Yeah.
And bonuscorey.com. She's on both of them. Why ain't you? You know what I'm saying? Subject line. Why do y'all bait me like this?
Oh, God.
Greetings, Corey and Trae. Sometimes I wonder if the two of you conspire in advance to see which one of you can spew more crazy medical horse shit in 90 minutes just to trigger those of us in the medical profession more. Where do I start? Okay, first of all, yes, chiropractors do go through training and need to carry a license to practice, but that doesn't make them any more legitimate than a physical therapist on whom we physicians rely far more than chiropractors. Okay, first off, fuck you, Kim. I'm pretty sure we said that shit.
My thesis the whole time was that chiropractors did not hit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident.
I know it was. Yeah, anyway, all right, we'll let her go.
Yeah.
I have never once in 33 years ever referred a patient to a chiropractor, but have referred thousands for physical therapy.
You said that your doctor sent you to the chiropractor, because I remember you said that and me being like, damn, word? Because I was surprised by that. So,
yeah. No, I hear you. But
what?
Horse,
like,
I live in a horse town. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So you're just like, my doctor don't hit. It will keep being my doctor. What do you want me to say? I'm just going to always go to a doctor that don't hit.
Yeah. To most MDs, chiropractors have about the same cred as acupuncturists with respect to actual medical benefits. Yeah, there is some data leaning toward clinical improvement, but maybe about as good as 800 milligram of ibuprofen. As far as Corey's chiropractors claim that his whole left side is locked up in some constant state of torsion and that she could tell that he travels for a living after some bogus half-assed laying on hands / manipulation / chakra alignment hocus pocus.
Yes,
dude, Kim is the fucking best, man. Well, with greater than 3 decades experience plus perhaps 59 years of accumulated life cynicism and pragmatism, I can say with fervor that she is completely and unabashedly chock full of stool. As a gastroenterologist, I'm an expert at identifying shit when I see it. Dang, you might have gotten better information from a rolfer or even a tarot card reader. The vaccination mark on my arm was from the smallpox vaccine, not polio. The polio vaccine was given orally as a pink fluid injected into a sugar cube, kind of like Jenny taking acid in Forrest Gump. Incidentally, from what I understand, despite the permanent scar that has mostly faded but still slightly visible on my left shoulder, I am no longer immune to smallpox. Thanks for the permanent disfigurement, though. Lastly, fun fact for Corey, the medical term for brain freeze is sphenopalatine. Sphenopalatine. Oh, God, there's more.
The Finnish lady.
Sphenopalatine ganglion igorlaga. SFEE. Okay, she then pronounced it for me, and I just didn't see that. Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia. There you go. Your pal.
That's actually, he used to serve with Gurbanguly Berdi Muhammad in the Turkmenistan. That was his foreign minister. A lot of people don't know that.
Your pal, as always, Kim Casado, unofficial gastroenterologist of the Skuniverse. P.S. I'll send y'all another letter about why we don't dole out pills the way that y'all like.
Look. We were just lamenting.
We
the fact
get
that, yeah, right.
It's because of my uncle.
We just had bad luck. Yeah, right. Yes.
He shot
And
himself.
my aforementioned cousin,
Yeah,
who's also dead.
Oh.
Thanks for bringing that up, Kim. No,
that was a fucking great email.
Yeah,
Kim. By the way, I mean,
but for the record, I was reacting dubiously to the chiropractor stuff the whole time.
Yeah,
just so we know. And it's not like you were saying no, they do hit. You were just like, yeah, my doctor told me to do this, whatever.
Also, my doctor might have said physical therapist. He might have said physical therapist.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Oh, god damn. All right, where are you going to be this weekend?
Well, next weekend, June 5th through the 8th or 9th or something like that.
You always seem as though you're confused that I'm doing this.
Well, no, I have to do the little math in my head. Like,
why don't you just fucking pull it up, motherfucker?
Because I don't need to, but I do need to think about.
Yes, you do.
But no, I don't. June 5th through the 9th, I'll be in Virginia and then Florida. So TraeCrowder.com. And then a bunch of places after that, including some Southern California shows, San Jose, California, and then back out on the road in July.
And Drew's going to be with you in Virginia, correct?
Yes. Yeah. But he came on Skews last night and said, he was like, honestly, fuck Trae's shows. His shows are fine. Just come to my shows. So, you guys can do that if you want. DrewMorganComedy.com. I mean, he said that after saying
that is one of the more raven things I've ever heard in my life.
He said he had looked and at least one of those Virginia shows is already sold out. And then he goes, so I mean, fuck Trae shows. Just look mine up. So you guys can do that if you want.
That's hilarious. Well, speaking of Drew, listen to our other podcast, the Well Read Podcast. It comes out every Wednesday and it's on Trae's YouTube page. Please, hey, also go subscribe to my YouTube page because I'm putting up more shit. And go to bonuscorey.com. That's where you can find bonus things from Corey. You can pay $5 a month. I would appreciate if you did. It super hits for me. But other than that, thanks for listening to this show. Tell all your friends and go listen to some classic episodes if you haven't. Stay fancy, motherfuckers. Skew. Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.